Is Desmond Ritter single-handedly losing the Falcons games?
Oh no, at this point, absolutely. And I won't even actually. I can't do that to him. Let me be clear. I can't do that to him. I can't single handedly do it to him because no matter how bad you're playing, it is a team sport, and someone could pick up the slack. But I'm also a realist, and I understand that not every time someone could, they're going to because sometimes they're going to be outwilled by the other team's defense, their team's offense. Coulda, woulda, shoulda. Well, coulda, woulda, shoulda. That Desmond Ritter could be playing better too, right? So it goes both ways, and he could be playing way better. So yeah, and the reality situation is, bro, he's playing at about top or bottom 31, 32 level. You can either put him as the worst or second worst right now. You can kind of pick your poison. Regardless of how you want to put it, this was the narrative I think we created right around week 3 when they started off really good. And it was like, this team, they're going to be competitive this year. They look kind of concerning this year. But I was very quick to point out that that's not true because Desmond Ritter is going to be the one that's going to hold them back. Sure enough, it didn't take long. As every Falcons fan knew it wouldn't. They were kind of holding on. They were holding on by a thread to the faith and hope that just maybe they found an absolute stain and they were able to build around this contract. But, the truth exposes itself very quickly. And the situation is what it is, where the Falcons are very much in the same situation as a lot of teams at this point in the league. I don't want to say a lot, but I'd say a fair handful, bro, where you have so much about the team that you got to love, but then that position you need most, you absolutely have got a lot of question marks there. And it's not like there's an easy solution either.
I mean, the closest comparison I can make to them, I mean, they're not even close on defense, but like kind of like the Jets, like they like a lot of stuff besides like the O line. Like I would say the Falcons O line is probably a little bit better. I don't think they're anything crazy. I think they're really good at run blocking. Their pass blocking is questionable in my opinion, but um, something else though, like I don't know, like that last pick that Desmond Ritter threw was really bad, and especially when you have playmakers like Drake London and Kyle Pitts, like Drake London has really been coming into his own these last two games. And I think it's showing like if you feed him the ball, like he's going to produce. Pitts has picked it up, but throwing the ball 47 times with Desmond Ritter is not a recipe for success. And that last pick, the fadeaway into the end zone, it's ridiculous. Like the Falcons lost by 8 points, and they had one less than double the amount of first downs. I believe the Commanders had 13, the Falcons had 25. That is ridiculous. Like they had way more yards. Like Washington allowed 400 yards. The Falcons had 400 yards on offense and lost this game.
So, bro, this needs to be discussed, right? Because I didn't really even think about this till just now, but this is the truth of the matter, right? In my head before this, when you just were saying how, yeah, and they so 47 times they threw the ball. But the routed situation is too. This was the first time in a while that the Falcons' run game was just getting kind of like, actually, I can't say that because the Lions. However, we expect that the Falcons' run game is going to get going. I'll put it like that. And this was definitely one of those days where, the Commanders' front showed up, did their business, holding them to under a first down every 4 carries. And you know what? And Art Smith's like, you know what? I got to give my guy a shot. I got to, not only that, it's almost like to an extent, again, 3D chess type activity. Even if you know it's not going to be the best option, you got to give it a shot in the sense of like, I'm going to prove to everybody that says to me that I got to take these shots. We got to give him a shot. It's like, okay, we're going to give him a shot. We're going to see how it goes. And then when he comes out and shits the bed, it's kind of like, oh, now you see why I'm not giving him these shots. You know what I mean? So I think that's just how you got to look at this if you're Art Smith. It's like, well, I gave the man every opportunity he could to show me that he had some moxie and could deliver what we drafted him to do. And it's just not what's occurring.
Yeah, I've been off the Desmond Ritter hype train. I think like we talked about, like I don't think Kirk Cousins is getting traded, but to me, Atlanta is really the only place that really makes sense. But it's just like it would be so drastically different if they had like an at least a competent quarterback in place. Like just not even competent, just one that's not going to throw interceptions. So I don't know. Like if you want to look at the other side, Washington, like Sam Howell, sack machine, throws a lot of interceptions. But this game, 151 yards and 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. So I think that's what I'm saying. Like, there's really not much to talk about with Washington this game. It's like when you turn the ball over 3 times, especially against like a defense like Washington, who is definitely going to ride on that momentum because of all the talent they have up front. But then also, the Washington's offense, like I feel like can go toe to toe with really anyone if they're clicking on that day. So like for Sam Howell to only have 150 yards and 3 touchdowns, like that should show you that like Atlanta is definitely the better team here, and they just like folded it. They folded at the end of the game. So like there's really not much to say on Washington. Like they stayed in, they battled, but it was really Atlanta's fault.
No, 100%. So I think, and again, I'm going to switch over to the Commanders here real quick. I'm going to take a little, flip sides. We're talking about the Commanders real quick from my end. My thing that I don't know how to feel about Sam Howell, bro. I'm in this weird territory where he's young enough that I'm going to give him more time because I'm never going to judge someone on. This is essentially really his first year in my eyes. You know what I mean? So it's like this the first year, and then I'm gonna give you a little time into year two. And if you're, but what I'm saying is really, I'm starting to view him like he might be one of those guys, and we know there's a lot of these starters in the league right now. Let me be clear. You can be a starter that's like this, but I think what he's starting to look like to me is he's one of those starters that it's like, yeah, he could really show up, but he could really, really not show up. And I think almost to an extent, like to compare him, it's like, again, he's younger. He's not at that point yet. But I think his ceiling, the way I'm looking at it right now, is it's funny enough where he's talking about it, but he could end up being like a Kirk type of guy where it's like, you know what I'm saying? Where we
Yeah.
know Kirk's going to show up most weeks, but then there's that one week that's going to happen where he's just going to fold crazy. That's kind of like how Sam Howell looks like he might be shaping out to be.
I think he could be a decent quarterback for them. I just think he's a little he needs to get his sack problem under control, and then like he needs to also um obviously clean up the turnovers. But I mean, it's his first year, he's a fifth round pick. Like it comes to be like expected that he's not going to be perfect, but I honestly like what I've seen from Sam Howell. Um Obviously there's cause for concern, but overall he has played decent.